Hello there, Nigerian football fans. You're welcome to the channel. So today we're talking about transfers. Nigeria. This is the era for transfer. This is time for transfers, and Nigerian players are not left out as well. We've had so many players, with rumors about them, reports about them leaving their present clubs, or generally just having to make moves either on loan or permanent transfer deals. So highlights of Victor Osimhen, Galatasaray on loan from Napoli, and then Napoli obviously don't want him back with Conte, loving Lukaku, and looking for other striking options. Maybe they can get Ademola Lookman because the way Napoli play, they play with a lone striker and two tens, or you can say two wide forwards behind that lone striker, and that just rules out any how to say this now. That rules out any big time number 9 coming in. So it just leaves room for one out and out number 9 striker, and that's Romelu Lukaku. So maybe you get a backup, someone that could come off the bench 10 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, 20 minutes to go in games, and that definitely that wouldn't be happening. And definitely that wouldn't work for Victor Osimhen. So where does he go? We've heard talks about him going to Liverpool. We've had Chelsea. We've had Manchester United. So where does he go? We've also had Saudi Al Hilal are back again, looking for his services, going to offer a huge payday, for the services of Victor James Osimhen. So where does he go to? Where should he go to? For me, I think some of the list has even come up to say that Victor Osimhen, if he wants to move, that going to the Premier League would be the best place for him to go to, because that would sort of boost his profile as a player, and boost his brand as well as an athlete. Now, while that is correct, while that is true, and while I want him to come to the Premier League, and while I want him to come to Chelsea as well as a Chelsea fan, but he has to do what's best for him. People keep saying reduce your wages, reduce your wages, reduce your wages. Sometimes players can't just reduce their wages. So if clubs don't want to pay the wages, and if he doesn't want to reduce his wages, then maybe Saudi will be the best bet for him. From a Chelsea perspective, people say Delap is the guy. Okay, he's still young, he's still raw. That's what I keep saying. But apparently the club believes in Liam Delap and maybe want to go for another young striker as well. So let's see what happens with that one. And then Liverpool that are really the winners of this transfer window. So there's talk about Ademola Lookman at some point. Now there's talk of either Isak or Victor Osimhen. So for me, if Victor Osimhen goes to Liverpool, that's the title done. Every other club can forget about the title for the 2025-2026 season, because you have Mo Salah already there. You've got Florian Wirtz now joining them. And then Luis Diaz is still there. So he hasn't left. So the attack is absolutely potent. And Victor Osimhen is that guy that he just doesn't score those simple chances. So you can imagine when you have Florian Wirtz behind him, putting it on the plate for him. That means on the plate, he's going to score like 10 goals. And then he's going to do his Victor Osimhen thing, tough battle, tough tackle, risk taking, and then we'll score another 10 to 15 goals. So that's 25 goals in the league. And then Mo Salah will also come up with his 20 plus goals. So right there, you've got 45 goals. So no one else can compete if Victor Osimhen does join Liverpool. But there again, let's see how it shakes out. And then you've got to talk about Tolu Arokodare. This came from nowhere, in my opinion. Tolu Arokodare apparently being linked to Manchester United. And I must say that this is not from any of those big transfer insiders like your Fabrizio Romano's and your David Ornstein, those big reputable transfer insiders. So you take it with a pinch of salt. But for me, would he really suit the way that they play? Because the way Amorim would want to play would be he want to play with his three at the back, two central midfielders, and then you want to play with a striker that has that pace to run in behind and lead the attack in transition. So for me, is Tolu Arokodare the right fit for Manchester United? Not quite sure, but maybe, who knows, you can go there and shine. But like I said, take with a pinch of salt. It's not really from one of the super, super reputable sources. So let's see if indeed that's true. And then we'll talk about one player that has been linked to Everton. He's been linked to West Ham United. And that is none other than Raphael Onyedika. Now, for me, the thing is, one thing is to move. Like you leave Club Brugge, you go to the Premier League, you go to La Liga. The other thing is for you to actually get to play. And when I look at Everton, I don't quite see anyone in the Everton midfield that can actually keep Raphael Onyedika on the bench. I don't see that person. It is Gay probably will be leaving that club pretty soon. And if he leaves, that means there's absolutely no competition. But the only, the only thing that gives me cause for concern is David Moyes. Because David Moyes is one of those coaches that can be a bit funny. But other than that, in terms of fit, I think he'll be an absolute perfect fit for Everton. I think he'll be a good fit as well for West Ham United for how they want to play, because he's good on the ball, he's a tough tackler, he can go both ways, right? He can be attack-minded, he can be super efficient defensively, so I think he'll be a perfect fit for West Ham. But I think some of the big boys in Europe as well, should also be looking at him. But one other thing that, like I said, game time is super, super important. World Cup qualifiers are coming, the World Cup itself is coming, AFCON itself is coming. So it's one thing leaving Club Brugge and saying, I want to go to the Premier League, but it's something else getting to start. The main thing is for you to go to that Premier League club and actually get to start. And that is the major issue that I have with Raphael Onyedika going to an Everton. He's good, don't get me wrong, but the issue with Premier League clubs, not an issue, but two Premier League clubs is this: they've got lots of money, and before you know it, they could sign 34 players in that same spot, and you could struggle. But as a fit, it is a perfect fit for the club. And then we talk about the African Footballer of the Year, Ademola Lookman. For me, Ademola Lookman has been linked to Liverpool. He has been indeed linked to Napoli as well. Now, I think with Liverpool, he'll be a perfect fit because he'll be looking to replace, not replace, but bring more goals coming in from wide. And because that's one, when they talk about Victor Osimhen, one drawback is that Liverpool, their goals come from wide. It comes from Mo Salah, it comes from Luis Diaz. So if you've got Ademola Lookman on the left and Mo Salah on the right, then that's goals central. So he'll be a good fit for Liverpool, and I think he'll also be a very good fit for Napoli as well. When people look at Conte, because he doesn't play tiki-taka like Pep Guardiola, like Enzo Maresca, people say he's not a good coach. People say he's a ultra-defensive coach. But if you look at all the strikers, that have played under Antonio Conte, they always hit double figures. Lukaku at Inter, Lukaku at Napoli, Diego Costa at Chelsea. Wherever he goes, his strikers always hit double figures. Always. So he has no issue with that. And then in terms of those wide forwards, they always come good. He knows how to develop players. If you remember Victor Osimhen before Victor Moses before Antonio Conte was loaned right, left, and center. He was loaned to Liverpool. He was loaned to Stoke City. And then under Antonio Conte, the whole mindset was, where would he go on loan? Where is it? Club? Which club would he be sent on loan to? But Antonio Conte said, no, you're not going off on loan. I've got a plan for you. I'm going to play you as a right wing back. And he played him as a right wing back, and it was super excellent. And one of the best wing backs in Europe at that time. So Antonio Conte knows how to get the best out of his players. All he demands is work ethic. And the modern footballer, footballers of modern day, they have issues with coaches that back at them, you have to and tell them you have to run, you have to put in that tackle. So in other words, if Ademola Lookman indeed goes to Napoli, he would shine. And I can almost guarantee you that he probably would be in the top 10 Ballon d'Or nominations, top 10. And for African Player of the Year, he'll be in top 5, if not top 3, because he will score lots and lots of goals. He's shown it under Atalanta, Due respect to them, they're an inferior club to Napoli. You showed under Gasperini. With due respect again, I think he's an inferior coach tactically to Antonio Conte, so he's going to do very, very well. He's going to do very well, in my opinion. And then we've had other reports about Uche Santos. We've had reports about him going to Sunderland. I think he'll be a good fit for the Premier League because he can go two-way. He's got the power, he's got the physique, he's got the technical ability on the ball. He's got Sunderland. But the only issue I have with him going to Sunderland is that the Sunderland are a club that finally got promotion, that's come up, to the Premier League, to a place where their fans will say they belong. But when you're talking about the candidates for relegation, Sunderland will be smack in the middle. With due respect, Leeds United will be one of those, Burnley will be one of those, Sunderland will be one of those. So do we really, as football fans, as Nigerian football fans, want Santos Uche to come in and be in a relegation dogfight, for that of the season? Not quite sure that's what I would like to see, but I know he would absolutely work in the Premier League. So that's one that I think if he comes to Sunderland, it would be a bit of a battle, but I think he's got the ability to actually, shine in the Premier League. I think clubs like West Ham as well should look at him. And I even think top 4 clubs should look at him. When I say top 4 clubs, not necessarily clubs that finish in the top 4, but those traditional top 4 clubs, i.e. your Chelsea's, your Arsenal's, your Liverpool's, your Manchester United's, those traditional top 4 clubs. Especially look at Manchester United now. I'm not a Manchester United fan, you all know that. In fact, I despise Manchester United. But let's be objective for a minute. Look at the way Amorim wants to play. He wants to play with 3. He wants to play 3-4-3. So you have 2 midfielders in the heart of that midfield that will be going both ways. You expect to defend, you expect to attack. So I think Santos Uche will fit into that midfield, in my opinion. I think he would fit into that midfield. But let's see how that shakes down. Now, should he even be thinking of leaving Getafe? Should he put in 1 more year at Getafe? Now, for me, there are 2 ways to look at this. Now, firstly, yes, you got to Getafe, you played well, the fans love you now, you're playing well, the coach loves you, sees you as a very important player for the team, But I feel the way the coach has used him, play him close to striker, I think he should be more in that central midfield role. So overall, the club, they like him. He's played well for them. Why wouldn't they like him? So do you want to leave and go to another manager all of a sudden? Now, that's the question to answer. But then again, football is fickle. Managers are fickle. Fans are super, super fickle. Now, imagine this. Close your eyes and imagine this. Next season, he struggles in a couple of let's say the first 3 games of the La Liga season. Not saying he would, but just say he struggles. He struggles in those first three games. And then the coach could say, you're not doing it for me. You're on the bench. So football is fickle. If a good offer comes, not in terms of money alone, but in terms of the project of the club, I think he should go. That's the way I look at it. I think he should go. And then speaking of transfers, so we also heard about outgoings, not just incomings. We've heard of Chidera Ejuke. Apparently, Sevilla are looking to sell him. Sevilla are looking to send him on transfer. Now, the problem is Chidera Ejuke is wonderful on the ball. He's an amazing dribbler, but he's been beset by injury. He's been beset with injuries. At Real Antwerp, had injuries. The other club he was at, there was injuries. Sometimes he's been invited to the national team for AFCON qualifiers, but he had injuries. So not quite. So I think that is why Sevilla are looking to let go. Not because he's not good enough. I think it's because he's just beset with injuries. Too many injuries, one too many injuries. At some point in time, club look at it and say, do we really want to keep this player? He's good when he plays, but he's rarely available. Because I say the best ability, or the most important ability rather, is availability. When you're there, when you're available and ready to go for a coach, ready to go for a club, then they would look to sign you. They'll look to use you and see you as someone who they can rely upon. But when you're unfortunately beset with injuries and you're rarely available, club will look at it and say, wow, this guy has so much ability, but we can't just have him on the bench or have him on the treatment table, keep paying his salaries without getting anything in return. So we have to find a way to let him go. So for me, Chidera Ejuke, La Liga is a good spot for him, but his injury issues, that's what I think is the problem. Maybe that may be what may cause Sevilla to let him go. Now we're talking about Manchester United still. Now, once again, I'll say this report or this news or rumor, however you want to call it, I'm about talking about. Um, it's not from any of the top transfer insiders or top transfer sources, but it's transfer news nonetheless, and I'll speak about it. So some people have said, Wilfred Ndidi to Manchester United. Yeah, I don't quite see that. I don't see that. In fact, I don't really believe that report now. I don't. Do they want to sign him? I don't think he would function well in that midfield because right now I think Wilfred Ndidi at the stage of his career that he's at, I think he's more suited to, shielding a back four, being in front of a back four, protecting them, reading danger, intercepting passes, and things like that, intercepting passes, attempting to break the lines, and things like that, protecting the back four, essentially. But because if you're going to play in a 3-4-3 formation as those two central midfielders, like if you watch my videos where I've talked about Eric Chiel, how he wants to play with those 2 or 3 central midfielders, you need people that can go 2 ways effectively, that can defend effectively and attack effectively. So I've looked at Wilfred Ndidi. I don't think he can actually, attack effectively, especially when you're playing that sort of 3-4-3 with 2, central midfielders, with 2 central midfielders that are expected to do more than one thing, they're expected to do multiple things on the pitch. So I don't think Manchester United would go for him. So maybe they might go for him in terms of backup or in terms of Premier League experience because he doesn't have Premier League experience. So maybe that's why they could be going for him. But anyways, let's see how it shakes out. If the deal, if the deal actually works out and turns out to be true, to be right, then I wish him all the best, and I hope he can find his form there. So that's one thing we also should look at. Now there's another striker. He is a new boy. He is Etim, Victor Etim. Victor Etim plays for, or rather, he used to play for CD Mafra in the Portuguese second division, if I'm not mistaken. And now he's signed for Danish side Midtjylland, I think, yeah. Signed for Midtjylland, and he has a good scoring record. He has a very good scoring record for CD Mafra. So I'll just share the screen in a minute. And he's joined them. And apparently, CD Mafra is a sister club to Midtjylland in Denmark. Hopefully, I'm not butchering the name of that club. So I'll share my screen right now, and I'll bring it up here. So here's Victor Etim. So Victor Etim, the statement on the official website, on the official website, Danish Super League club FC Midtjylland have announced the signing of Friday Etim from sister club CD Mafra. Etim is a product of D10 Academy, a grassroots football club owned by retired, Nigerian forward Dixon Wakeme, elder brother of 2017 Super Eagles invitee Anthony Wakeme. The 23-year-old striker ended his association with CD Mafra after putting pen to paper on a 4-year contract tying him to the Wolves until the end of 2028-2029 season. Lagos-born Etim previously featured for the Portuguese side Vizela, where he emerged as the on the 23 team's top scorer before securing a move to CD Mafra in 2023. In his final season at CD Mafra, he directly participated in 13 goals, but could not prevent the club from relegation. So managed Gustav Flager. Before joining Cinema in his first words of the FC Midland, Etim said, "I'm happy to be here. Big step for me. I'm both grateful and motivated to seize the opportunity. It was a tough year, but personally, I got to show what I can contribute offensively." So, yeah, that's good. Let's see what he is all about. So, good move for him, apparently. Good move for him. That's what I like to see. You take a step, maybe you come in second division, maybe in Portugal, you take the next step, either you go to first division in Portugal or you go to the first division in Belgium. I'd like to see that progression. So 23-year-old, let's see what he does, at that club. So good move for him, and hopefully he comes good at Midtjylland. And if you remember, that's where we had Paul Onuachu. Paul Onuachu, he was a striker there. And speaking of Paul Onuachu, I think he's completed his move to Trabzonspor from Southampton. So a bit of mixed feelings now. Trabzonspor, they are their first division side. They play in the Turkish Super Liga, so that's the first division of Turkish football. So nice to see that he's made the move there. So brilliant move for him. And then on the flip side of it, he's leaving English football and is going to Turkish football. But all the same, hopefully he comes good there, because I don't like seeing Nigerian players playing in the second division of any league in the world. I just don't like it. I prefer when a player goes to the first division, and you're competing with the best of the best in the league you're playing in. So wish him the best there. Hopefully, I think he's one person that has, been unfairly used by Super Eagles handlers, by various Super Eagles coaches. I think he wasn't used rightly under Finidi George at all. That's the worst I've ever seen him used, because Finidi George had him, track him back and almost leaving, building a house in the midfield, as opposed to being in that box and fighting for goals there. So can you imagine Victor Osimhen having a foil like, Paul Onuachu, 6'7", that can win balls in the air, flick balls over to Victor Osimhen? That could be, that could be a useful tool, a useful asset for the Nigerian Super Eagles. But I don't think right now it's in consideration. The likes of Cyriel Dessers are more within what Eric Chell and the selectors are looking at. And for me, speaking about Cyriel Dessers, there was a reported move for him to head to AEK Athens. But I think that move is now stalling, apparently because there are some there's some other links linking him back to his former club Feyenoord in Holland. And you can say Holland is his second home. The Netherlands is his second home. So maybe he's a bit homesick, or rather would feel more comfortable going back to the Netherlands than going to Greece. So I think if I was him, I would go back to Feyenoord, because you've left Feyenoord, you've gone to Rangers, you've experienced a different culture, a different country, different way of playing football, and you've shown there scoring over 20 plus goals this past season. So I think going to Feyenoord could be a very good move for him, because I think they'll be involved in European football as well, going into the forthcoming 2025-2026 season. So I think that would be a good move for him. And all Nigerian players that are on the move, one thing I must say to you is this: you must play. You must be playing. Don't just make the move for the money. Of course, if the money is good enough and you want to put your career on hold for it, that's fine. But you must be playing, because right now you have competition for places, especially in those striking positions. You've got Victor Osimhen there, you've got Tolu Arokodare there, you've got Cyriel Dessers there. So someone wants to take your meal. So you must be playing whichever club you go to. And I think Cyriel Dessers going to Feyenoord, I think he will thrive there. He'll be excellent there. But hopefully things get sorted quickly. Because what you don't want a stalemate. You don't want clubs feeling like you're taking them for a ride. You don't want to be dragging your feet between two clubs. Pick where you want to go. It's AEK Athens you want to go. I would have preferred him to go to Olympiacos as he was heading to Greece, because this is the champions of the season that just ended. And of course, you have his Super Eagles teammate there, Bruno Yemachi. So That would have been nice as well. But if he goes to Feyenoord, cheers to him, and hopefully he comes good there. Now, speaking about players who have dual nationalities, and there's one thing I want to talk about. There's Felix Nemecha. He could have. He said he could have played for Nigeria. He loved to play for Nigeria. That his idol was Obafemi Obago Martins. So he wanted to play for Nigeria, but things didn't quite work out the way he wanted, and he ended up playing for Germany. But he's made a move to, I think, he made a move to Wolves. That was the Wolves, but I think he's also made a big move. So congrats to him. Let's see how that shakes out. Now, also on that talk about dual nationals as well, I want to say let's applaud our Igbo brothers, because something I never thought I would see. I never thought I would see this in my life. A Nigerian playing in Argentina, having dual nationality, and then good, he wants to play for Nigeria. And I think his father should be given credit. When I read the quote attributed to the father of this player, you'll see why, you'll see why I want people to give his father applause, because sometimes you don't get parents of these dual national players coming up to speak this way. So let's talk about this player very, very quickly. Yeah, so I'll share the quote attributed to his dad, and then I'll go on to talk about the player. So the player is Jonathan Spieth Asuzu. Jonathan Spieth Asuzu. So now these are the quotes attributed to his father. Now I hope you can all see it. So his father's name is Godwin Asuzu. So despite all that is happening in Nigeria, I believe we should always be patriotic. Godwin Asuzu said, as per The Guardian, I'm happy that we are not forcing him to choose Nigeria or Argentina. The decision has been all along, and it's left for the authorities to seek him out. Say he's made the decision. He wants to be patriotic. He wants to play, for Nigeria. And then he's also scored 16 goals in 18 games. So this is not just someone you're saying, oh, playing for playing sake or inviting for inviting sake. And definitely, I'm not saying Super Eagles or anything of the sort. But what I'm saying is the Flying Eagles, we have the Flying Eagles. He should be, in the mix. We have maybe the Olympic team coming up. He should be, in that mix. So let's see a bit about this player. So this season, teenage forward Jonathan Spieth Asuzu has set his sights on representing Nigeria at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup, turning down the possibility of playing for Argentina, the country of his birth. The 18-year-old striker has been in blistering form for River Plate Under-20 with 16 goals in 18 matches. He's eligible for both Nigeria and Argentina. So born in Palermo, Buenos Aires, to a Nigerian father, Godwin Asuzu, and an Argentine mother, Maria, has declared his intention to wear the green and white of Nigeria, following in the footsteps of his heritage. Now, that's brilliant to see. That's brilliant to see. And why I choose to bring this up is, even with players like Timon Lemega, that has obviously said he wants to play for Holland right now. At some point, when he was a lot younger, he wanted to play for Nigeria. Same thing with some other youngsters that I know of. When they're young, 17, 18, they want to play for Nigeria, but sometimes the selectors take too long, dance about the issue, and these players end up getting fed up and decide to play for someone else. So the NFF, you've seen what his father said, is in your court to make that decision. So I wanted to ask a question quickly before I go on to other pieces of transfer-related news. So Victor Osimhen, where would you like to see him land? Would you like to see him play for your club, or wouldn't you? Would you like him to play for your club, or you Rather, he plays for, a different club altogether. So let me know. Now, speaking about transfers, whilst you're answering the question, let's go on and talk about other transfers. So Leon Balogun, we all remember Leon Balogun, um, former Nigerian international as well, used to play for Rangers. He's also made a move this transfer window this off season. So let's see where he's gone to. He's left Rangers, used by Rangers, 37 years old right now, and let's share the screen. So here we go. Soon to be 37-year-old Super Eagles centre back, veteran Nigerian defender Leon Balogun has reached an agreement with to join Cyprus First Division side Aris Limassol on a one-year deal. Balogun will complete his move to AEL Limassol on July 1st after the expiration of his contract with Rangers FC. The Cyprus club officially announced on Friday. Okay, so for me, okay, he keeps playing football, but in terms of being a competitive league, I don't see how this benefits him in that regard. But there you have it. So does this give him a way back to the Super Eagles? I don't think so. If the Super Eagles are serious, the player moving from Rangers, Scottish League, and going to a lower league, you know, at his age as well, I don't think should be someone that should be looked at to play for the Super Eagles. That's just my thoughts and opinions. I wonder what you think. And then the next one we talk about as well is, of course, this is a done deal. Talking about Semi Ajayi, released by West Brom. Now he's joined Hull City. So, of course, he'll resume with his new team on the 1st of July. Now, for me, I think this is a good move for him. So he keeps playing, he keeps being active. But still, I still think, in my opinion, that Nigeria should be looking for replacements. This is the time to start looking for replacements in that centre back role. So let me know your thoughts and opinions on this bit of transfer news. Samir Ajayi has moved to Hull City. Do you see that as something that should give him a way back, to the Nigerian Super Eagles? Of course, he's already part of the team, but then again, do you see that as something that strengthens his position with the Nigerian Super Eagles? And now we've also got another move to talk about. Of course, this is Uche, been loaned out to German Bundesliga 3 club. He was at German Bundesliga 2 club Nuremberg, so it has been loaned out to a Bundesliga 3 club. And for me, that's a bit strange because he was the highest goal scorer for Nuremberg. So I don't quite understand why he's been sent on loan to a lower league club. Because usually, if you're at the club, you scored lots of goals. In fact, you're the top scorer for that club. What should happen is either that club would keep you, or your goals would attract so much interest from higher level clubs, and then the club can sell you. But his is just a bit odd for me. It feels odd to me. And then there's a big transfer that we should be talking about anyways, and that is Simon Moses' transfer to Paris FC. Paris FC, they are owned by the Renault family. Now, if you know Renault, the makers of Renault Megane, so they're billionaires, they've got money to spend. So he's one of the first signing, not to be confused with PSG or Paris Saint-Germain. Paris FC. Paris FC, they are sort of territorial rivals of PSG. While you can say historical rivals of PSG are Marseille, would be Marseille. So Paris FC gained promotion to, the Ligue 1 that are investing in their playing squad. So Simon Moses is one of the first ones they signed. I think it was for this 7 million euros, and he'll be with the club till 2028. So that's a nice lengthy contract for him. And I think it's a good move for him. He's done all he can do with Nons. He's done all he can do. I don't think tomorrow Nons will be winning the French League. I don't think so. So he's done all he can do. He's hit high level assist numbers for the club. He's broken certain assist records at the club, and now he's moved on to Paris FC. So I think going there to play for a club would, I think, would have more ambitions because, of course, you've had the money and now you gain promotion to, to the top league in France. Now you're going to invest in the team, and that means he'll have more game time. He'll be more in the spotlight playing in Paris because it's like playing in the Premier League. London would always have its draw, whether you play for Leeds United or you play for Sunderland or you play for, even a Manchester United. London would always have its draw, would always have its appeal. So the same way I think Paris for players that play the French league, Paris will always have his allure, will always have his draw. So nice to see that he's made that move there. And like I said, the most important thing for any Nigerian player right now making a move is to make sure that when you go out there, you are playing whatever move you make. You go out there and you're playing. And so if he goes there, he plays, he shines, maybe he opens doors for more Nigerians to be signed for Paris FC. Goes there and plays regularly. That means he secures a spot in the AFCON team. He secures a spot in the World Cup qualifying team. And hopefully he comes with good form into those set of matches. So what are your thoughts and opinions on the various bits of transfer, so like the news, reports, rumors that I have, talked about? So the Tolu Arokodare, should this still remain at Genk? Should this still be at Genk or should he leave? And of course, what do you make of the supposed Manchester United links? Do you think that's something really serious, something that really, come to fruition? So what do you think about that? For me, I think if it's indeed true, maybe he makes the move. But I just don't think it's true. I think that is something tasty to look at. So Arsenal, what are you talking about? Which Nigerian player you reportedly? Arsenal open talks with record-breaking Super Eagles star. Who is that? Arsenal try to have a big summer as they desperately need reinforcement. The Gunners have had one of the defenders that did there, however, they're paying in the attack. Like I have it. Ademola Lookman, Arsenal make contact with high-flying Super Eagles star, and they are talking about Ademola Lookman. So, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Ademola Lookman to Arsenal? That just come out of the blues. Do you think it's something that he should do? Think it's something that he should embark on? For me, like I said, at Arsenal, Ademola Lookman is better than all the left wingers put together. He's better than all the left wingers put together. So if he makes that move, play for a Champions League club, a club that will always be fighting for, the league title, then I think that's a good move because what we want is we want Nigerian players playing at the top level. That's what you want from Nigerian players. Want to see them playing at the top level. Want to see progression. So there we have it. So it says right here, says we understand that Arsenal have been holding talks with Ademola Lookman ahead of a potential summer move to the Emirates. Is this a player you want to see join Mikel Arteta's side? Well, for Mikel Arteta, this should be a no-brainer because Ademola Lookman is world class. He is absolutely world class. So any team in the Premier League should want Ademola Lookman on their books, especially if you're an Arsenal side where Saka is so good on the right, and the left is so poor. Now, mixing with Martinelli. Martinelli is not even in the same league with Ademola Lookman. Not even close. He's faster, and maybe he will be better than Ademola Lookman if it was a track event. If we're going for 100 meters dash in the Olympic Games, but we're talking about football, Ademola Lookman is a way better player than Martinelli, and definitely better than Trossard. So he's faster than Trossard. He's got more skills on the ball than Trossard, and definitely he can score more goals than Trossard. So I think that would be a good move for Ademola Lookman if indeed it gets to happen. And I think it would be good for Nigeria as well, having players at the top level. For me as a Chelsea fan, I want Ademola Lookman at Chelsea, but right now at Chelsea, it seems if you're older than 21 years old, the owners are not looking at you, which is sad. That's what it seems the owners at Chelsea are all about. If you're not 21 years old and under, then they're looking to sign you. So they're always looking to sign some 20 years old, with little or no experience. But if you're looking for an experienced campaigner, down the left side, with what he's done in the Italian Serie A, back to back, currently the African Player of the Year, I think it's a no-brainer for any Premier League club. I won't just say Arsenal, any Premier League club, whether it's Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool, maybe Spurs, not even a big club, so let's not go there, but any club that are looking for a genuine goal threat, a goal-scoring left winger, Ademola Lookman should be someone you should be looking at. Especially, the deal makes so much sense for clubs because financially it makes sense. He's at the last limbs of his contract, so Atalanta wouldn't be looking for crazy money. That's one. And then his wages are not super crazy anyway. So that's a deal that can be done if a club really wants to do it. It's a deal that can be done. And he definitely improves any team he goes to. That's for sure. Chelsea improves it 100%. Manchester United improves it 2,000-fold. Goes to Arsenal, improves it 1,000,000-fold. So he improves Liverpool 1,000,000-fold because he's got the ability, he's got the pace, he's got the skill. That's where he thrives. So this is not one of those things where you have someone playing as a striker and then you force him to play as a left winger. He played as a left winger. He's contributed goals and assists as a left winger at a high clip. So it's not one of those ones where 5 goals here, 3 assists there. He's actually scored lots and lots of goals. It's clear for everyone to see. So if Arsenal are interested in Ademola Lookman, if Mikel Arteta is indeed interested in Ademola Lookman, then I think that's a move that you should make. Because come to the Premier League, indeed, not only do you get to play against top players, top clubs, you also get to boost your career profile as well, boost yourself as a brand as well. If you want to go into podcasts and want to, merchandise and whatever, it's a good platform where you can, boost your brand as a player. So I want to know your thoughts, opinions on all these sort of reports we talked about. We talked about Raphael Onyedika, West Ham, Everton. Is that where you want to see him go? Let's see what your take is in the chats. I want to know. So are those players you want to see do you want to see him make that move to West Ham or Everton, or would you rather Raphael Onyedika remain with Club Brugge, because at Club Brugge you still will go to Champions League or at least some sort of European competition, but West Ham not guaranteed, Everton not guaranteed, but in Club Brugge it's always guaranteed that you'd always be involved or at least be in the European competition mix. Tolu Arokodare, should he still remain, at Ghent? Should he still be there? Or should he move on? Maybe go to the Bundesliga. We've heard stuff like Frankfurt interested, Bayern Munich interested as well. We've also heard, obviously, Manchester United interested, but Manchester United is still like this, not quite sure how accurate those reports are. But when you're having sort of reports linked to you, that means scouts, managers, agents in Europe, they're already taking note of you that you're doing a good job. So, and like I said before, that football fans are fickle, managers are fickle, ownership groups of clubs are fickle. It's all about what have you done for me lately. So I think he should make the best career move for himself. If he gets to come to the Premier League, oh good. If he gets to go to German Bundesliga, get to play for a club like Dortmund. For me, Dortmund would be the perfect fit for him. Because I don't think Guirassy would remain in Dortmund. He will be a Dortmund player come the end of the transfer window. I think Guirassy will be gone. So I think that would be a good move for him. And also moving to Stuttgart as well could be a good move for him. So I think that's something that he should consider as well. And then, of course, a previous video I did, the reports linking Raphael Onyedika that plays in the Czech League for Victoria Pleasant, the link to Wolves in the Premier League. I think that's a good move for him. I like to see this sort of links, progressive links, not you playing in the first division in the Czech League, and then the next link we are saying is you going to play third division football in Portugal. No, I like to see links that push, elevate players. Now, my dream move for Raphael Onyedika is Frankfurt. That's my dream move for the boy. Because Frankfurt, they always play the best football that suits their number 9. We've seen it with Hela. We've seen it with other strikers. We've seen it with Uche Ekitike. So that would be a good move for him. But the only caveat there, the only condition I want is before he makes that move, Uche Ekitike should be gone. He should maybe go to Chelsea, Manchester United, whichever club that's interested in his signature. Then he gets to play there. Because I think that boy, that player, has everything it takes to be a top player. He's got the pace, he's got the strength, he's got the technique, goals and assists, he's always hitting those numbers. So I think he'll be a very good fit for Frankfurt. And I think that would help him progress because, like I said, Frankfurt, they always play to the strength of their strikers. And each time you see a striker goes to Frankfurt, 20 goals, 21 goals. And when that happens, that means clubs in the Premier League start to look. Clubs in La Liga start to look. Top clubs in the First League start to look. Higher placed clubs in the German Bundesliga start to look. And that means better deals could be coming your way in terms of course, the economics of it, which like I always say, we watch football, we're passionate about football, we're excited about football, but for players, it is their career. So they always should be looking for the best deal for themselves and their families. So I think it will be a good move for him to go to Frankfurt. Although I would admit I would love to see him in the Premier League and hopefully he scores against everyone but Chelsea. But even if he scores against Chelsea, maybe Chelsea beat Wolves 5-1 and he scores the 1 goal. But I joke there. So, but if he goes to Frankfurt, I think that's where he would really, really try because Uche Ekitike used to play for Stade Reims, and then he went and joined PSG. He really, really struggled, and everyone turned an eye on him. And then he went on to Frankfurt, and he shone there. Momo, thank you so much, Momo. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So I think him going to Frankfurt, he will really, really excel. He will really excel at Frankfurt. So, because one thing in football is sometimes you see the money, £200,000, grab it and go. But ask yourself, am I going to play? Who's the number 1 guy at the club? How does he play? Where does he play? Would I have game time? So that's, I think, while Wolves may pay him more, I think if he goes to Frankfurt, he will achieve more. You get what I mean? For instance, Umar Mamouche. No one knew about Umar Mamouche. At least I didn't. But until he went to Frankfurt, scored tons and tons of goals, General Man City said, you know what? We want you. Come over. And he came to the Premier League, and due credit to him, he impressed. So he's now an important player for Manchester City, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Now there's one player I want to talk about. This is not transfer news, but he's someone that Super Eagles should look at. He's someone that I think should be attracting interest as well. He's Onuachu. Ogbelu. He played for Esperance de Tunis. Played in this Club World Cup. Unfortunately, for him and his teammates, they've been knocked out. But I was really impressed with the way he played in that central midfield role. I really enjoyed the way he played, and he is a player that I hope some way somehow gets involved. You know, gets involved in the Nigerian Super Eagles setup. I think he is one of. I think he already played in for the under 21s. For the under 20s in Nigeria. So he's one player that I would like to see. Onuachu Ugbelu, trying to get this image to show up. Yeah, Onuachu Ugbelu. Onuchi, Onuche, rather, not Onuchi. Onuche Ugbelu. Let's this for Esperance de Tunis. So let's share it back so we'll have a look. Nigerian midfielder Onuche Ugbelu. France de Tunis, tough tackling midfielder. I think he's a defensive midfielder. He's 6. So I think that's someone that should be looked at as well, brought within the ecosystem. And when I say this about players, I'm not saying, oh, come in and start immediately be the number one guy, but should be in that ecosystem of Nigerian football. So I was really impressed with him when his club played against Chelsea. I think he was one of the better performers for his club. And the only downside about their performance was I think that was the same issue with a lot of North African clubs in that tournament. They wanted to always play on the counter attack. Always. They always wanted to play on the counter attack. They always ceded possession away to the opposition teams. And I think that put them in a bad spot, in my opinion. But I think overall, the player, he was very good in the tournament. And he's someone that we need to look at. But his involvement in this tournament raises some questions for me. Not about him per se, but about Nigerian football in general. I know this is a transfer discussion video, but we have to talk about this, right? We have a Club World Cup, an expanded Club World Cup where you have 32 teams and you don't have any Nigerian club in the competition. Now, that is not good enough. That's not good enough. And when you think about it, just for participating, each game you participate in, is it $2 million you get? I think so, yes, if I'm not mistaken. For each game you participate in, you get $2 million. So that means if Nigerian football clubs had played in the 3 games, they would have got $6 million just for being in the competition. Sorry. They've gotten £6 million just for being in the competition. But it almost feels like the Nigerian Football Federation, the Nigerian Premier Football League, the league management company, in Nigeria, don't quite understand that you can make lots and lots of money for the country, for the players, for the organizers of, Nigerian Premier Football League, if the league is run right. I'm happy. Onuche, he played in the Club World Cup for Esperance de Tunis. I'm happy he's gotten that level of international acclaim. Nice. But come on, with all the players we have, grassroots wise, talent wise, you can't be in this competition. I think the way football is run in Nigeria is very poor. Leaves a lot to be desired. I think if the administrator of the league just look at themselves and say, okay, we want to make this work. It will work. You don't need anybody to give you $1 million, to give you $2 million. If you work, you make lots of money for the league, for the organizers, for the players, and the global recognition. Because if you don't play in this Club World Cup, no one sees you as a top league. So you should be, Nigeria Premier Football League club should be in this competition. And things have to change. The management of clubs have to change. And I, for one, I look at the ownership structure, the ownership style of clubs in Nigeria, where you're having state governments own clubs. I just think that won't work. That won't work. Because clubs are commercial concerns. They are sporting commercial concerns. That's to say, there are sporting organizations that engage in sports, but they are businesses. And as we all know, government isn't the best when it comes to business. Government is meant to set policies, set how things should be done, and hands off. And it always aches me when I see Nigerian clubs struggle, and you see one billionaire going over wants to buy Arsenal, wants to buy Liverpool. Like, those people don't need your money. They're doing well. They're doing well on their own. You should be looking at the league. But on the flip side of it, you ask yourself, the Nigerian Football Federation, are they doing what they should do? Are they doing what they should do to get these wealthy people involved, to get them attracted to owning clubs in the country? Are they doing what they should do? I just said I have to hint this. There's a Josh Udo as well. Joshua Udo that played for Al Ain, the UAE club, in the Club World Cup as well. A young player, 17-year-old, I think. So we have players that have the level, the qualities at least to be in a tournament. Therefore, I think Nigerian clubs should actually be, in this tournament. But anyways, want to know what your thoughts and opinions are on what I've just said and the various transfer reports that I've talked about, like the big one that we've just discussed, Ademola Lookman to Arsenal. Is that something you want to see happen? Is that the kind of transfer news you want to see happen? For me, it's one thing I like. That's the sort of transfer news I want to see happen. Obviously, I'm not an Arsenal fan. I don't want any good player going to Arsenal. But all the good players can't come to Chelsea. They have to go to other clubs as well. All the Nigerian players can come to Chelsea. They have to go to other clubs as well. And I can also admit that Arsenal is a big club, unlike Spurs. That's a tiny club. If you go there, and if he shines there, that means we've got a top performer in a top club in the Premier League. And then that means he can then, that bodes well for the country as well. Talk about Victor Osimhen. Where does it land? If you were to advise Victor Osimhen, what would your advice be? Is it join Galatasaray? Because we've heard one of the board members at Galatasaray say Victor Osimhen is running out of time. He has to make that choice now. If he decides if he would go, if he would make his move to Galatasaray permanent, so he has to decide. Al Hilal are back again with even bigger box. And then Premier League clubs, everyone's talking about wage demands are too much, wage demands are too much. So would you say, Victor, I beg, reduce your salary, go Chelsea, go Liverpool? Or would you say, guy, go Al Hilal, go there, earn the big bucks. After all, it's a career for you, go there and earn the big bucks. Or you say, Galatasaray, you've gone there, they showed you love when other clubs were not looking at you. You want to repay them, make the deal permanent. Now, for me, even if you want to go to Galatasaray, don't. What I'll say to Victor Osimhen, this is what I'll say. I'll say, Victor James Osimhen, if you want to go to Galatasaray, go, but have a release clause in your contract that will be 10 million euros, 10 or 8 million euros, something so negligible. Because one of the mistakes he and his team made was having that huge bar clause in his contract. While for me, I don't see it as an issue because bar clauses have been there for years and years and years. You have some people who have €1 billion as a bar clause. Is anybody going to pay €1 billion? Lamine Yamal has €1 billion as his bar clause. And you have some very not so notable players in the Spanish La Liga that have €400 million as bar clause. Some of them have €250 million bar clause. and you know no one is going to pay that amount of money for them. All clubs do is that they offer something significant enough to get the interest of the club. So, but what I would say is, Victor Osimhen, if you're going to Galatasaray, go, but have a very, very, very small release clause, so that could entice clubs to get you out of there. Because I want to see him play in the Premier League. I want to see him play in the Premier League because he's our biggest star in Nigeria, no matter what. He's our biggest star and the biggest performer as well, because everywhere he's gone, he's scored goals. So what do you think about Victor Osimhen, Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool? In fact, let me know in the chats. Where would you want Victor Osimhen to land? We've talked about Onuachu, even if wasn't the transfer news. We talked about Tolu Arokodare. We also talked about Raphael Onyedika, being linked to a move to Everton or West Ham. That kind of move you want to see for him. Also talked about Chidera Ejuke possibly to be transfer listed by Sevilla. And I've said his injury problem is, I think that's the issue, because he fits his sort of profile of player that should play in La Liga. He's got the skills, he's got the pace. So he has all it takes to be an exciting player in the Spanish La Liga, but he's just been injury prone. So sad, so sad. George Lenny Kenna still in Monaco. I think he should begin to at least look for a loan move. If he's not going to be the number one guy there, probably he should go to, I don't know, Lyon, because apparently Lyon, their relegation status will soon be changed, because I think PSG has paid them all the money they pay, that they were meant to pay for Bradley Bacola, that was formerly a Lyon player. So that means they have enough in their accounts to show to the Ligue 1 authorities, and that could see them back in, that could see them back in Ligue 1. And if they then get to be in the top division in French league, then for me, I think that's somewhere that someone like George Lineker should go, because all I want to see Nigerian players playing, having that opportunity to be the number one guy in the club, because Mika is a good player for Monaco, and possibly he's one to see as a number one guy. But when you're 18, you're 19, you want to be playing. You don't want to sit on the bench. You want to develop. So for me, even if he's going back to Belgium, maybe Club Bruges, or you go to Genk, I think you should go there, or you go to a German team. I think those are places that he should be looking at making his moves to. So, come to the end of this video, I want to say a big thank you to all those who've watched the video, subscribe to the channel, who share this video, to people they know would love content like this. It really means a lot to me. I want to show you, thank you so much. I want to tell you that I really appreciate what you do. And also, there'll be more content coming on here, more reactions coming on here. And also, we're putting together a panel to talk about Premier League football, we'll talk about Nigerian related football news. So if you want to be part of that panel, want to come up here and have a discussion with me live on here, let me see it in the chats, let me know. So at this point, I've come to the end of this video. Like I always say, to have a splendid rest of your day.